These aren't just bad albums, they're glorious disasters from music's biggest rock icons. Imagine walking into a record store in 1968, excited to hear some fresh Beach Boys magic, and instead you get karaoke. Stacko Tracks was exactly that. Instrumental versions of earlier songs. No vocals, no harmonies, just backing tracks. Sure, it included sheet music so fans could sing along, but let's be real. People didn't buy Beach Boys records to do homework. It felt like a product for collectors, not listeners. A demo reel, not an experience. Even the most loyal fans were confused. It arrived at a time when music was moving forward into uncharted territory. Psychedelia, protest rocks, experimental sounds. This felt like the band was stuck in 1964 while everyone else had moved to another planet. The album barely charted. Critics shrugged. Stacko Tracks wasn't just a flop. It was a symbol of a band at a crossroads, unsure where to go next. But if you thought a vocal-free Beach Boys album was odd, just wait until you hear what Bob Dylan had in store 2 years later. In 1970, Dylan released Self-Portrait, a double album packed with covers, mellow originals, and live recordings that sounded like they'd been taped with a sock over the mic. The opening track, a sleepy version of Simon and Garfunkel's The Boxer.
In the company of strangers, in the quiet of the...
Other tracks included Blue Moon, Let It Be Me, and Take Me As I Am, all delivered with a strange sense of detachment. Rolling Stone's review famously asked, "What is this?" Dylan later admitted he put the record out to get rid of the people who idolized me. He was tired of being the voice of a generation, so he decided to throw them a curveball. And it worked. The album alienated fans and baffled critics. From the man who gave us Highway 61 Revisited, Self-Portrait felt more like an anti-statement than a real artistic expression. And things got even stranger when this Elvis album, without any music, was released. Okay, you can say that this album is the stuff of legend. Not because it's great, but because it makes you wonder how it ever got made. Having Fun with Elvis on Stage features no music, no songs, just Elvis talking.
Essentially, there's no music on this album. It's basically just Elvis on stage, out of context, talking.
Rambling, telling jokes, muttering in half-finished sentences. The mastermind behind this mess? Colonel Tom Parker. By releasing an album of Elvis talking, Parker avoided paying publishing royalties. Genius from a business angle. Catastrophic from a fan's perspective. People bought it expecting concert highlights. Instead, they got 37 minutes of disjointed stage banter.
Still rolling. I'm Falling in Love Tonight. Take 4.
Critics trashed it. RCA reportedly cringed. Fans returned it. It's the only Elvis album that could double as a podcast from the Twilight Zone. But as the 80s hit, weirdness wasn't going away. It was just changing shape. Kiss, known for fire-breathing rock anthems and outrageous costumes, decided in 1981 to switch things up with a mythical concept album. Music from The Elder featured a fantasy storyline, sort of, orchestral arrangements, and theatrical narration. Songs like The Oath and Under the Rose tried to be epic, but came off more like a Broadway audition. The band abandoned their signature sound for something more majestic, confusing. Fans didn't know what to think. The storyline was barely there, the production felt bloated, and worst of all, they didn't even tour to promote it. Even the band hated it later. Gene Simmons called it a huge mistake.
I can see why the record company wanted to start with something else. Honestly, why didn't they just cut it?
And when Kiss regrets something, you know it's bad. The Rolling Stones also stumbled hard in the 80s. After the success of Some Girls, expectations were sky high. And then came Emotional Rescue, a disco-flavored, falsetto-heavy letdown. The title track, with Jagger screeching in a pitch only dogs could hear, didn't exactly scream rock royalty. Tracks like Danced Part 1, and Indian Girl lacked grit. The swagger was missing. Sure, the album sold well. It had the Stones' name on it. But many longtime fans felt alienated. The rawness of Exile on Main Street had given way to glossy grooves and shallow hooks. Critics called it directionless. Today, it's rarely listed among their best, unless you're ranking disappointments. And while the Stones were chasing disco grooves, Neil Young took an even sharper left turn straight into rockabilly territory. Picture this. It's 1983 and you pop in Neil Young's new record expecting something deep. Instead, you get pompadours, saxophones, and doo-wop backing vocals. What the hell happened? Everybody's Rockin' was a full-on rockabilly throwback. Gone were the raw lyrics and crunchy guitars. In came songs like Kinda Fonda Wanda and Jelly Roll Man.
Well, I went with Mary Lou, tried Peggy Sue.
It was only 25 minutes long and the label hated it. Neil later said he made it to mess with them. He was under pressure to release a commercial record, so he gave them the opposite. It didn't sell, but it made a statement. Neil Young was going to do whatever he wanted, even if no one liked it. Meanwhile, another rock veteran was quietly selling its soul to slick production and changing trends. By 1984, the psychedelic roots of Jefferson Airplane were a distant memory. Nuclear furniture embraced synths, radio-friendly hooks, and a glossy finish. Songs like Laying It on the Line aimed for urgency but came off hollow. The album felt more like a business move than a creative one. Gone was the rebellious spirit, replaced with 80s polish. Paul Kantner, the last connection to their revolutionary past, left the band after this release. It wasn't just a musical failure, it was symbolic. The revolution had been packaged, plastic wrapped, and sold at the mall. Which brings us to punk legends The Clash and their unfortunate finale. By 1985, The Clash was a skeleton crew. With Mick Jones and Topper Headon gone, Joe Strummer tried to keep the fire burning, but cut the crap, poured water all over it. Tracks like We Are the Clash tried to rally the spirit, but the album was bogged down by fake drum machines, flat production, and bizarre football chant choruses. It didn't sound like The Clash. It sounded like someone imitating The Clash using a Casio keyboard. Even Strummer admitted it was a disaster. Fans hoped for a spark of old glory, but instead got a disappointing goodbye from one of punk's greatest bands. And just when you thought things couldn't get more off track, Lou Reed decided to try his hand at synth pop. Lou Reed was known for taking risks, but Mistrial was one that didn't pay off. Released in 1986, it leaned into cold production, synthetic drums, and awkward spoken word segments. No Money Down had a strange, robotic groove, and much of the album felt like Lou trying to play catch-up with MTV era trends. The emotion, the grit, it was buried under layers of tech and gloss. Even the cover looked off. Lou in sunglasses, staring into the void of the 80s. There were hints of brilliance, but overall, Mistrial was a misfire. Last but definitely not least, the final disappointment goes to none other than David Bowie. This was meant to be a comeback. Instead, it became one of Bowie's most criticized records. Overproduced, cluttered, and lacking his usual lyrical sharpness, Never Let Me Down didn't live up to its title. Time Will Crawl had potential, but was buried under bloated arrangements. Bowie admitted later that the album didn't reflect his vision, and even reworked parts of it decades later. Coming from the man who gave us Ziggy Stardust and Heroes, this album felt like a missed opportunity. A reminder that even legends have low points.